Let's start at the beginning. What is the Ars Goetia, basically?
Okay, yeah. The Ars Goetia is a key part of a larger work, the Lesser Key of Solomon. It's a grimoire, a book of magic.
Right.
And it details very specifically how to evoke and, command 72 different spirits. Traditionally, though, this was seen as a really personal path. The magician did it for themselves, seeking knowledge, power, whatever it was.
Themselves, okay?
Exactly. It wasn't originally set up, as a kind of third-party thing.
That makes sense. So, if someone is taking on this intermediary role, acting for another person, what's the absolute foundation they need? What does it really take?
Well, sticking to the traditional Solomonic methods is paramount, absolutely vital. We're talking about very specific rituals, the consecrated tools, like the magic circle for protection.
Right, the circle, the triangle of art.
Exactly. The triangle where the spirit appears, plus the lamon, the pentacle, the holy ring, and specific prayers. Usually invoking divine authority, God, Yahweh, Adonai. These aren't just props. They are the established framework for control and, critically, for protection, especially when someone else is involved. Think of them as spiritual safety measures.
And it's not just about having the right gear, is it? What about the person doing it?
Well, absolutely not. The practitioner themselves needs incredible mental and spiritual strength, fortitude. You need unwavering focus, a clear sense of authority, and you have to stay emotionally balanced, like completely level, because this work is draining, seriously energetically taxing. So good grounding, strong energetic shields, basically, spiritual self-defense, and solid self-care. Non-negotiable.
Otherwise,
you risk burnout, becoming vulnerable, or even getting some nasty energetic backlash. Not good.
Okay, so with all that energy involved, it makes you wonder about the control part. When you're doing this for someone else, how much control do you really have over these spirits? And what's the client's actual part in all this?
Yeah, that's a great question. The control is mostly about successfully getting the spirit to appear and communicate within the ritual structure. It's not like you have absolute dominion over how they do the task. They still have their own agency, their own nature. And yes, offerings or sacrifices, physical, symbolic, energetic, are almost always required just to get the interaction going.
And the spirit takes those, no matter what.
Pretty much, yeah. They're considered consumed as part of the process, whether the final outcome is what the client wanted or not.
So there's an agreement happening, a kind of contract, even involving the client.
Yes, there's definitely an implied agreement, sometimes quite formal, like a pact. But here's the really crucial, maybe counterintuitive part. The practitioner, the intermediary, is the one who technically enters into that direct agreement with the spirit.
Wait, the practitioner, not the client who wants the thing.
Correct. The practitioner brokers the deal. However, the client usually is required to provide something personal. An offering, a sacrifice, some kind of energetic commitment. It binds them to the process.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a huge amount of risk resting on the intermediary. If the spirit has agency and the client has these obligations, what happens if something goes wrong? If someone doesn't hold up their end?
Well, first, it's key to remember the spirit can always refuse the request. Even if summoned correctly, even if offerings are given, success isn't automatic. But the biggest risk for the intermediary, it often comes down to respect. Many Goetic spirits are described with titles kings, dukes, princes. There's a sense of spiritual nobility there, and respect for that is non-negotiable from both the practitioner and the client. Any lack of respect, even just, subconscious doubt or mockery can cause serious problems, dramatic ones.
So no eye rolling at a Duke of Hell then?
Probably not advisable, no. And this leads to the core risk. If the client fails somehow, maybe they neglect their promised offering or break a condition or even just show disrespect, then the practitioner is left holding the bag, so to speak. They become responsible for settling that debt with the spirit. And it's not a monetary debt. We're talking energetic, karmic, sometimes quite significant personal consequences for the intermediary.
Wow.
Yeah. It really highlights why clear boundaries, solid agreements, and educating the client about their role and the absolute need for respect are so incredibly important. You might think the client bears the risk, but often it's the intermediary carrying that spiritual weight.
So for you, the listener, thinking about this, being that go-between in such powerful spiritual work, it's clear the responsibility is immense and the web of obligations is really complex.
Absolutely. And it speaks to a broader point in any kind of esoteric work, really. The need to deeply understand the traditional ways, the personal requirements, and the hidden consequences of acting as an intermediary. Power always has its complexities.
Indeed. It really makes you think about the level of commitment and maybe even mutual respect needed when you're dealing with dynamics this potent. something to really mull over.